Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi conferred with Brazil's highest honor, the Grand Collar of the National Order of Southern Cross, by President Lula da Silva. Prime Minister Modi and President Lula da Silva unite in condemning terrorism in all its manifestations. Prime Minister Modi pushes for zero double standards on terrorism. India-Brazil sign agreements on cooperation in renewable energy, digital solutions, also strengthen fight against international terrorism. No breakthrough yet for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Qatar says need time after US President Trump voiced optimism for a possible deal. On the final leg of the five-nation visit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is now en route to Namibia's capital, Windhoek, after wrapping up his engagements in Brazil. In Brasilia, Prime Minister Modi was conferred with Brazil's highest national honor, the Grand Collar of the National Order of the Southern Cross, by President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. This will be the first visit of Prime Minister to Namibia and the third ever by Prime Ministerial visit from India to Namibia. During his visit, Prime Minister Modi will hold bilateral talks with President Nandi Ndaitwah. Prime Minister will also pay homage to the founding father and first president of Namibia, late Dr. Sam Nujoma. PM is also expected to deliver an address at the Parliament of Namibia. Earlier, Prime Minister Modi was bestowed with the Grand Collar of the National Order of the Southern Cross. This is Brazil's highest honor, which is awarded exclusively to foreign nationals as a symbol of friendship and respect. Prime Minister Modi expressed his heartfelt gratitude to the President, the government and people of Brazil for their distinguished honor. Accepting the award, he noted that the honor was a tribute to the 1.4 billion people of India and to the enduring bonds of friendship between India and Brazil. The award was created in 1822 by Emperor Pedro I to mark Brazil's independence and was re-established as a republican order in 1932. The decoration features a white star bearing the Southern Cross constellation, an important national symbol framed by coffee and tobacco branches, which represents Brazil's heritage. With this honor, Prime Minister Modi now has been bestowed with 26 such global recognition. In Brasilia, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Lula da Silva address a joint meet. Addressing the meet, Prime Minister Modi lauded the ties between the two countries. He added that President Lula da Silva is the chief architect of India-Brazil strategic partnership. PM also thanked President Lula for the honor bestowed on him.
आज राष्ट्रपति जी द्वारा मुझे ब्राजील के सर्वोच्च राष्ट्रीय सम्मान से विभूषित किया जाना मेरे लिए ही नहीं बल्कि 140 करोड़ भारतवासियों के लिए भी अत्यंत गर्व और भावुकता का पल है। मैं इसके लिए उनका, ब्राजील सरकार और ब्राजील के लोगों का हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करता हूं।
Prime Minister Modi added that India and Brazil decided to achieve ambitious goal of increasing bilateral trade to $20 billion in the next 5 years. Prime Minister said the agreement has been finalized to expand cooperation in areas of security, clean energy and UPI.
हम अपने रक्षा उद्योगों को आपस में जोड़ने के प्रयास जारी रखेंगे। आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस और सुपर कंप्यूटर में हमारा सहयोग बढ़ रहा है। यह समावेशी विकास और ह्यूमन सेंट्रिक इनोवेशन की हमारी एक जैसी सोच का प्रमाण है। ब्राजील में यूपीआई के एडॉप्शन पर भी दोनों पक्ष मिलकर काम कर रहे हैं।
Prime Minister Modi also stressed that the partnership between India and Brazil serve as a vital pillar of stability and balance. PM added that with growing tension and uncertainty in the world, we firmly believe in zero tolerance policy against terrorism.
हम एकमत है कि सभी विवादों का समाधान डायलॉग और डिप्लोमेसी के माध्यम से होना चाहिए। आतंकवाद के खिलाफ लड़ाई पर हमारी सोच समान है। जीरो टॉलरेंस एंड जीरो डबल स्टैंडर्ड्स। हमारा स्पष्ट मत है कि आतंकवाद पर दोहरे मापदंडों का कोई स्थान नहीं है। हम आतंकवाद और आतंकवाद के समर्थकों का कठोर विरोध करते हैं।
Leaders of India and Brazil also held delegation-level talks in Brasilia. Both leaders held extensive discussions on multifaceted ties, including trade and investment, health and pharmaceuticals, space, food and energy security, infrastructure development, digital public infrastructure, culture and people-to-people ties. They also explored avenues of collaboration in new areas of critical minerals, AI and supercomputers, digital collaborations and mobility. And in a special press briefing on Prime Minister Modi's visit to Brazil, India's Ministry of External Affairs Secretary East P. Kumaran said 3 agreements were signed and exchanged in presence of the President and Prime Minister. These include on agreements cooperation in combating international terrorism and transnational organized crime, and an MOU on cooperation for sharing of successful large-scale digital solutions for digital transformation.
After the delegation-level talks, there was a signing and exchange of MOUs and agreements. 3 agreements were signed today and exchanged in front of the President and the Prime Minister. These were the agreement on cooperation in combating international terrorism and transnational organized crime, an MOU on cooperation for the sharing of successful large-scale digital solutions for digital transformation, MOU on cooperation in renewable energy. 3 more agreements are ready to be signed and will be signed later today. These include an MOU on agricultural research between the concerned bodies on 2 sides, agreement on the exchange and mutual protection of classified information, and an MOU for cooperation in the field of intellectual property.
And Secretary P. Kumaran also mentioned that on security and terrorism, Prime Minister Narendra Modi thanked President Lula da Silva for expressing firm condemnation and extending support and solidarity to the people of India in the aftermath of Pahalgam terror attack on the 22nd of April that killed 26 innocent people.
On security and terrorism, the Prime Minister thanked President Lula for expressing firm condemnation and extending support and solidarity to the people of India in the aftermath of the Pahalgam terror attack on the 22nd of April that killed 26 innocent citizens. The Prime Minister also reaffirmed that India stands firm in its resolve to fight terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. President Lula expressed his full support in the fight against the menace of terrorism.
And he also said after the signing of the agreements, Prime Minister was conferred with Brazil's highest national honor, the Grand Collar of the National Order of Southern Cross by President Lula da Silva. Prime Minister dedicated the award to the Indian people and enduring friendship between the 2 countries.
After the signing of the agreements, the Prime Minister was conferred with the Grand Collar of the National Order of the Southern Cross by President Lula. The Prime Minister dedicated this award to the Indian people and to the enduring friendship between the two countries. It was followed by a joint press statement between the two leaders.
India and Brazil exchanged key agreements, and these include an MOU that has been signed on combating international terrorism and transnational organized crime. Other agreements signed are in the fields of renewable energy, as well as sharing digital solutions, cooperation in the field of intellectual property. An MOU has been signed between the Indian Council of Agricultural Research and the Brazilian Agricultural Research Cooperation. An agreement has also been inked on the exchange of mutual protection of classified information. Moving on, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is now en route to Namibia, marking the final leg of the five-nation tour, and the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to the African nation in about 3 decades. The visit of Prime Minister is a reiteration of India's multifaceted and deep-rooted historical ties with Namibia. DD India correspondent Siddharth Bharadwaj gets us more.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is all set to visit Namibia in what is seen as a historic moment when it comes to the ties between both the countries. This is the third ever prime ministerial visit happening after a gap of 27 years. Both India and Namibia have historical linkages, with India raising the matter of Namibia's independence in the year 1946 at the United Nations General Assembly. This visit by the Prime Minister will certainly open new areas of cooperation and will also strengthen the bilateral ties between both the countries.
India and Namibia share a bond forged in the struggle for freedom and nurtured through decades of partnership. India was among the first countries to support Namibia's liberation movement and to establish diplomatic ties after its independence in 1990. Over the years, the relationship between both the countries has grown through development partnerships, capacity building under the ITEC program, trade in minerals and pharmaceuticals, and a unique wildlife collaboration, the historic translocation of cheetahs from Namibia to India.
Namibia is rich in critical minerals, rare earths, and is also keen to engage with India in the field of agriculture and pharma. And in fact, in recent times, Namibia has discovered oil fields. And with this visit by the Prime Minister, it is also expected that a brief discussion on partnership when it comes to hydrocarbons will be there.
Prime Minister Modi's visit is expected to unlock new opportunities in areas such as hydrocarbons, rare earth minerals, education and health, among others. It also signals India's strong commitment to the global south. During the visit, Prime Minister Modi is expected to hold wide-ranging talks with Namibia's President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, the country's first woman head of state. A number of bilateral agreements are likely to be signed, with focus on energy, innovation and youth engagement. As India expands its footprint across Africa, this visit is both strategic and symbolic, reinforcing the values of equality, mutual respect and shared development under the spirit of South-South cooperation. All eyes are now on Windhoek, as India and Namibia prepare to script a chapter in their vibrant partnership.
The relationship between India and Namibia has flourished over the years. And this indeed will be a significant visit by the Prime Minister, which will strengthen the ties between both the countries and will also open a new pathway when it comes to other areas of cooperation.
Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. President Donald Trump says he will meet again with Netanyahu to discuss Gaza. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and President Macron lay wreaths at Winston Churchill and Charles de Gaulle statues.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. US President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will meet again to discuss Gaza a day after they met for hours while officials conducted indirect negotiations on a US-brokered ceasefire. Trump and Netanyahu dined together on Monday at the White House during the Israeli leader's third America visit since the president began his second term on January 20th.
He's going to come over again tonight. We're talking about Gaza. Mostly Gaza right now. It's he's been very unfairly treated. I think what they've done to him in Israel is very unfair, having to do with this trial. You know, he's a wartime prime minister, had an unbelievable outcome, and I think he's been treated very unfairly. But he's coming over later. We're going to be talking about, I would say, almost exclusively Gaza. We got to get that solved. Gaza is a tragic. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. And he wants to get it solved, and I want to get it solved.
President Trump also said that former DOGE chief Elon Musk's planned America Party will help us.
And can I follow up? This is, I think, the first cabinet meeting since Elon Musk has not been a special government employee, not here anymore. He's now saying he's going to create a third political party. Are you worried about the impact that that could have?
No, I think it'll help us. It'll probably help. Third parties have always been good for me. I don't know about Republicans, but for me.
Negotiations to halt the fighting in Gaza are gaining momentum, but a breakthrough remains elusive. Host nation Qatar says talks between Israel and Hamas need time. As diplomatic efforts intensify, the violence on the ground shows no sign of easing.
The push for a Gaza ceasefire gained new momentum this week. Israel on Tuesday said that while gaps in the ceasefire talks remain, they can be bridged, but cautioned that it may take more than a few days to reach a final deal. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump welcomed Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to the White House on Tuesday. The leaders discussed the situation in Gaza, with Trump stating that Hamas appears willing to agree to a truce with Israel.
I don't think so. They want it. They want to meet and they want to have that ceasefire. So I don't think so.
In Doha, Qatari officials mediating the indirect talks said negotiations are ongoing but need time. The discussions have now moved towards creating a framework for a possible agreement.
What is happening right now is that both delegations are in Doha. We are speaking with them separately on a framework for the talks. So talks have not begun as of yet, but we are talking to both sides over that framework, and we hope that we can establish a framework that would be very instrumental for the talks to succeed and take less time than it would otherwise.
On the ground, however, violence continues. 5 Israeli soldiers were killed and 2 others severely injured in northern Gaza on Tuesday. The casualties occurred when improvised explosive devices detonated in the Beth Hanun area. While diplomats work to finalize a fragile ceasefire, the human cost of the conflict remains starkly evident. Bureau Report, DD India.
In other news, Britain and France must work together to protect the international order. French President Emmanuel Macron said in an address to the British Parliament on Tuesday. The French leader was welcomed to Britain by King Charles on Tuesday for the first state visit by a European leader since Brexit. The warm greeting symbolizing the return of closer ties between the two countries.
The United Kingdom and France must once again show the world that our alliance can make all the difference. Clearly, we have to work together in order to defend an efficient multilateralism and to protect the international order as we forged it after the Second World War.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and French President Macron laid wreaths at the statue of Winston Churchill and statue of Charles de Gaulle on Tuesday. Macron, who enjoys a strong personal relationship with King Charles, was earlier greeted by the royal family, including heir to the throne, Prince William, and his wife, Princess Catherine, before they travelled in a horse-drawn carriage for a procession in Windsor. The official visit comes 16 years after the late Queen Elizabeth hosted the then French President Nicolas Sarkozy. The European Union has taken a significant step towards deeper integration. The EU has officially approved Bulgaria's adoption of the euro from January 1st, 2026, paving the way for the country to become the 21st member of the Eurozone. European Commissioner for Economy and Productivity, Valdis Dombrovskis, hailed the move, saying it will bring Bulgaria ever closer to the heart of Europe. Bulgaria's transition from its national currency, the lev, to the euro comes nearly 2 decades after the nation of 6.4 million joined the EU.
For Bulgaria, the euro will bring tangible benefits for citizens and businesses, lower transaction costs, protected savings, more investment, increased trade, lower interest rates, and a larger euro area means also more stability and greater international help for the euro.
Severe weather conditions are being reported across parts of the world, including floods, wildfires, typhoons and heat waves. Countries from the US to Asia and Europe are witnessing significant climate-related developments. Detailed roundup of the major weather events.
Climate change is now a reality and it's looking straight into our eyes. The most visible consequences is rise in the intensity and frequency of extreme weather events. In Texas, the death toll from severe flooding has now crossed 100. Rescue efforts continue as more rain threatens the already inundated region. US President Donald Trump is scheduled to visit the affected areas on Friday.
This flood was an unprecedented and devastating event, one that brought tremendous loss and hardship to our community.
In Europe, a massive wildfire in Spain forced over 18,000 residents to take shelter indoors in Tarragona province. Nearly 3,000 hectares have been scorched amid the country's hottest June on record. Meanwhile, in France, a fierce blaze has destroyed over 1,400 hectares and shut down a major highway. Evacuations are underway as hot and dry conditions worsen. Greece has partially shut the Acropolis as temperatures soar past 42 degrees Celsius during a heat wave. Emergency measures are in place to protect the public and workers. In the US, while the Texas floods are wreaking havoc, California's largest wildfire this year, the Madre Fire, is tearing through Los Padres National Forest. Over 1,400 firefighters are battling flames fueled by dry bush and extreme heat. China's eastern coast braces for Typhoon Danis. Firefighters in Zhejiang province are reinforcing homes as the storm approaches, expected to make landfall between Taichung and Ningde. Meanwhile, in the Himalayan region of Asia, a sudden flood swept away the friendship bridge between Tibet and Nepal. Experts suspect a glacial lake burst triggered the deluge. At least 18 are missing in Nepal and 11 on the Chinese side. In India, the monsoon is in full force. The Radhanagari Dam in Maharashtra has reached 80% of its capacity. Heavy rain in Kolkata caused severe waterlogging in the city on Tuesday. India's weather department predicted heavy rain in Goa, the Western Ghats in Maharashtra and parts of Gujarat in the coming days. From floods and fires to record heat, the rising toll of extreme weather underscores the urgent need for climate resilience and coordinated global action. Sarita's report, DD India.
That's all for this edition of DD India Live. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.